Well, good thing my wig is made of foam, so it would just catch it in there and then keep it in there.
I need you for your eye. I got enough dice, I can hit it. I can put an eye out. Don't test me.
Bruh. Alright. Looks like we're live for real this time. I'm gonna send out the real and proper link.
Real and proper link.
Before I get shot.
Before you get shot. And / or go blind as a birthday bat.
That's what my cool fluffy bangs are for, to protect my sight, so I don't have to look at you. I think they'll work just fine, but I don't think you should test it.
I think I should.
No,
Do I look like the kind of guy who never tests his limits on anything ever? Or just or if somebody goes, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that, I'll just go, oh yeah, you're totally right. That seems reasonable.
That would be the reasonable thing to do, yes.
Do I look like a reasonable human being?
I got no clue, man. I freaking forgot where I posted all these things.
Just hit send all.
Yeah. Every contact in my phone.
Yes. They
will all find out immediately.
Yes.
Oh, God, that'd be great. Fantastic.
Your grandma's gonna find out you're on the internet.
My grandma's, she doesn't need to know that.
I should tell her.
I had to decide if I wanted to answer that one in or out of character.
I should tell her.
My grandma's dead. Music killed her.
Mine too!
That's crazy. Right after Christmas, right? Mine too.
Literally the day after Christmas.
God. Something about it. Grandma Momota's fine, though. I've decided that.
Are you sure?
Don't say that, man.
Are you sure she's fine?
Yes.
Are you sure
she's
fine? Have you checked?
I've decided.
Have you checked?
Don't worry about it.
Like today?
I've got things to do, man. I can't be checking up on my grandma all the time when I'm in space.
She hasn't.
It's time zones, man.
I wonder why that could possibly be.
Shut up. It's time zones, definitely.
She's probably not fine. She probably died in an earthquake. Got crushed by her own house.
There hasn't been any earthquakes, man. The nearest earthquake was in Taiwan, and that one was fine.
Could have been crushed by her own house, though. That would suck.
Dude.
She would have been all by herself.
Lavova gets it. New clan and lore drop. Grandma Momota is doing great. You heard it here first, folks.
I'm just saying, though, she could be not great. And you have no idea.
And you have no idea either, so stop spreading false information.
What else am I going to do with my time?
I don't know, maybe a productive member of society?
I would rather die.
Well, that's an option too, I guess.
Okay. Alright. I'll make sure everybody thinks it was your fault.
I suppose it doesn't help that you're literally in my house right now.
It doesn't.
No, it really doesn't.
I could get really creative with this, actually.
Okay. One last link update, and then...
and then we break it again.
No. It's working now. We're going to make this stream happen. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so cool. Everyone's going to get the story time that they came here for.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm so sure. I'm so sure. None of you saw or heard anything. This is the first stream we're doing.
It's not.
It all worked the first time.
He had to call you to fix it for him.
I didn't have to call anyone. I used what I know of rocket science, which was not really applicable here.
Rocket science isn't the same as computer science, stupid.
That's pretty obvious, isn't it? You need to know a certain amount of computer science to do rocket science. Not too much, though.
I don't care about either one of those things.
Life tip: if any engineer tries to tell you that they're good at programming, run. They're not.
Explains a lot about Sorry.
Anyway. So hello everyone. What if I actually greeted you, said hello, welcome to my live stream. We are now 30 minutes after the start time. Thank you everyone for coming. There's 6 of you. And
God, you've only got 6 friends. What a loser.
And it's going to be significantly harder than it was last year.
You're welcome.
Because we're doing things We're doing things a little bit differently this time. I
Into
know...
your house. That's why.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to clean up some glass afterwards. It's fine.
It's not fine.
It's... Yeah, because you're gonna have to help me clean it.
I'm not gonna help you with shit. I'm gonna disappear back into the river again.
Okay. It works for me, I guess. Why don't you do that now?
Nah. Haven't got my story time yet.
So, last year, some of you may remember, I picked 3 very sad fan fictions, and most of you were very on board with that, so I'm glad we're all in agreement there, but this year I picked 2 lighter-hearted fan fictions, and one that I just received in my inbox.
You read that one, though.
Did I?
Yeah, you did.
I'm not...
It was the one that you said you forgot.
Well, I've forgotten a second time.
I promise you haven't forgotten a second time. You're gonna start and you're gonna go, oh yeah, I remember this one.
Anything's possible, chat. We may be getting a live reaction from me for the 3rd time in a row.
For the 3rd time. For the first time.
For the first time, for the 3rd time.
Kaito's memory is almost as bad as the rest of his brain.
I gotta store other stuff in there, I'm sorry.
You have nothing in there.
I've got plenty of stuff in there.
All you have in there is cheap hairspray.
And space facts. And my hairspray is not cheap.
Doing that is probably not.
Yeah, you get it.
With you, man.
Bruh. But yeah, I've got 3 fics. One of them being from, those of you who were here last time, the Kaito Momota zine that finally came in the mail. It's good stuff. It's the good stuff. So, I'm debating if I just get right into it with all of these delays at this point. Unless you've got something else to say.
Like what?
Kicking your feet in the air? Alright.
Like what?
We're all set and ready. I don't know. I can never guess the next thing that comes out of your mouth, dude.
Good.
So, I think I said in the description, we've got 3 fics this time. One of them by amamicorp, one by arsons, and one by gamblersgalaxy, all on Tumblr. Inhaling hairspray is all part of the job. They get it. It's part of the job. It's a workplace hazard that you just have to deal with. In my line of work, having your hair out of the way is very important. What?
No, I didn't say anything.
Anyway, the first fic is from the Luminary of the Stars, a Kaito Momota zine. This one is titled Tall Tales on the Seven Seas, a totally true story, written by Jim Cloud and art by Noodle, so I'm gonna have to show you some pictures as we're going, because that's the wonderful thing about zines, is a lot of them will do artist collabs with the writers. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. So, this one is called Tall Tales on the Seven Seas. I gotta relax for this one. You get a full view of my space slippers and how awesome they are.
That's okay, I'll steal them in 20 minutes tops.
No, you won't. I'm gonna... Hold on, chat. I gotta put on my adventure straps. Between last year and this year, I actually added invisible straps to my slippers, so they will not slide off. I can run as much as I want.
Bad news for me.
What?
Bad news for me.
Yeah. You can't run away this time because I've lost my shoes embarrassingly. They will stay on.
Damn it. Gotta circumvent those stripes.
Oh, what the hell? What's going on here, dude? I gotta wash these things.
Wash the rest of it too. Just once in a while. Be good for you.
There's no showers in space, dude.
That's a lot. Explains a lot.
Shut up. Tall Tales on the Seven Seas. Written by Jim Cloud and art by Noodle. You can leave if you don't want to be here.
No, I think I'll just lay on your floor.
So there I was, on the bow of my ship, the wind blowing and the rain pouring down my face. No, this is a different scene, by the way. This is not... We'll get to that later. The rain was pouring down my face. This storm was ugly, and I mean ugly. Even its mother wouldn't kiss it on the mouth. I had to wipe my eyes every other second just to see what was in front of me. But that wasn't enough to stop me. I had to keep my ship going in the right direction or we were never going to find the lost city. But it wasn't as if nature was just going to roll over and hand me the wind. Nuh-uh. So I had to reach up and furl the sails. This nasty little guy wasn't going to let them come out unharmed of it if it had anything to say about it. I trusted in my climbing skills, though. It was pretty easy to hop up onto the rigging and... I paused my story, my eyes widening. What? Rantaro? Hi, Rantaro greets, hanging off the rigging like some kind of monkey, raising an eyebrow at me. Sorry, am I in your way? I can move real fast. Yeah, if you don't mind, dude, you're kinda on my ropes. He drops off, and I clear my throat before I get back to business. Okay, where was I? Right, the rigging. So I hop up on top of it just like that. No problem at all. Sure, the wind was getting the rain in my eyes and I was soaked down to the bone, but those are only minor problems when you're a hero like me. It was no problem at all to get up to the sail and get her all furled up just like that. Huh, Rantaro says from down on the decks. Like, from the mast? Most ships I've been on, you can furl the sails from the deck. It's a little inconvenient otherwise. What? Really? Come on, Kaito, an excuse. You need an excuse. Well, this is my special ship, so it's a little bit different. I flash a thumbs up at Rantaro. I get why you'd be confused, though. Don't worry about it. Back to it, then. And here's where you can see this really epic picture of Kaito swashbuckling. Doesn't he just look so cool? So, yeah, cool, isn't it? I look so cool on my ship. Okay. Let's move ahead a little with the story. We got through those nasty waters, no problem, but without any wind, we weren't getting anywhere. But then I got an idea. You wouldn't need wind to run a ship if you had something moving it for you. Like a sea serpent. And as luck would have it, one of those was attacking us just that moment. It was a real nasty one, too. Dozens of scars running up and down, teeth the size of my forearm. Oh, and its breath was nothing to sniff at either. For anyone else, that might have been a setback, but not for Kaito Momota, luminary of the stars. So all I had to do was lash this thing to my boat and figure out a way to steer it. The first part was going to be easy. We had plenty of spare rope to go around after all. All I had to do was leap off the bow of the ship onto the head of the thing, and from there I could get the rope all tied up onto its mouth. Its head was thrashing around, bucking and heaving, but I knew I could get up there and hold on. All it took was a nice, heroic... Rantaro! Dude! Rantaro blinks up at me from on top of the sea serpent's head where he's laying down. Oh, sorry. Am I in the way again? This spot just seemed cozy. Listening, I promise. I'm pretty sure the next page actually has a picture of Mr. Rantaro Amami. Look at him, he's just chillin'. And then here's the whole sea serpent. For the guest as well. He's just chillin'. Rantaro's a chill guy, what can I say? He'd be a great buddy on the high seas. He's real reliable, you know? I'm about to open my mouth to say, yes, obviously you're in the way, but... You're kinda in the way, but you seem pretty comfortable. You don't gotta move or nothing. Why don't we move on to the next part of the story? Okay, so after a while, I got the sea serpent working for me. It wasn't a huge challenge. Turns out she really liked those peanut butter cracker snacks, the ones you get in the plastic. So I just kept her fed, and she was more than happy to carry us. I ended up calling her Polaris. Polaris knew the way to the hidden continent we were looking for. Which is where the lost city was? Rantaro asks from Polaris's back. I flash Rantaro another thumbs up. Exactly! You get an A+ for listening, dude! So with Polaris to guide us, we were well on our way, and just speeding through the water. Whole knots were flying by us, like nautical knots. The knots we tied up Polaris with were fine. They're nautical knots. At the rate we were going, we were bound to hit the island within a day. Maybe even less. Rantaro perks up, leaning over the side and dropping off Polaris entirely. The island continent? Is this like an Australia kind of situation? Why does Rantaro know exactly the wrong questions to ask? I clear my throat. Yeah, definitely. That's not the point right now, though. The point is, everything's going great. But right as the sun started to set, the roar of cannon fire sounded. Oh, man. It was none other than my arch-rival who had a sea serpent tied up to his boat, too. Which was so annoying, by the way. Get your own idea, man. Anyway, my rival was firing on my ship. His cannonball whizzed right past my head. He was always a good shot with that thing. It was a warning shot, for sure. A challenge. We'd both been after the Lost City, you see. I sailed out first, but I knew it was only a matter of time before he caught up to me. That's what any good rival does, after all. I didn't know that, Rantaro comments as he climbs up the mast. I've never had a rival, though. Sounds like you have a lot of experience with that sort of thing. I beam, shooting a thumb at my chest. Of course I did. My rival and I went way back. I let out a wistful sigh before I start to recount the story. It all started one fateful day when we got into a huge shooting competition. We came out of it tied, and we had to settle the score. Since then, we've been competing with each other about everything, or, well, we used to. I wonder what that guy's up to these days. Man, those really were the days. What I wouldn't give to meet him one last time. Settle the score for real. Oh, I should totally retell Rantaro about... Wait, right, I was explaining the Lost City fight. So there we were, his cannonball had just whizzed past my head. I knew he meant business. But I couldn't have him trashing my ship. He was always pretty good at long-range combat. So I needed an edge. I reached in my pocket for my trusty peanut butter cracker package. Oh no, I don't have any on me. There we go, we got something that crinkles. And whoosh! I tossed it into the sea. Now Polaris knew just what this was about. It's not for you. She leapt for it, swimming so fast until our boats and my rivals were neck and neck. From there, it was easy to cut off a rope and swing right over onto this ship. It's just you and me now, I said, unsheathing my sword and pointing it right at him. I don't have a sword either. What kind of a story is this?
What would they be for?
I've got a sword back there. I could... That thing's gonna disintegrate. Never mind. I'd said, unsheathing my sword. Imagine I have a sword and it's gonna look so cool. I'm pointing it right at him. No more tricks or games. He just smiled at that. That's right, he agreed as he pulled out his own. And that means I've got you right where I want you. It was quiet then. Just the two of us. The sun setting to our sides. Polaris and my rival Snake were watching in awe, waiting for the moment when it would all start. All it would take is 1 second and our swords would crash against each other. Just the slightest movement. Just one. Whoa! Rantaro lets out a cry, his grip on the top of the playset slipping. My legs are moving before I can even think it. Rantaro! He's fallen by the time I get the word out. I don't have any time to think about it. I just lunge, reach my arms out, and the feeling of his weight on my arms tells me I managed something. And then all I can think about is the shitty taste of rubber tire chunks in my mouth. Sorry about that, Rantaro says, rolling off my arms as I spit rubber out. I thought my grip was a little more secure than it was. Should have been more careful. Hey, don't! I paused to choke, spitting more tire out and sticking out my tongue. That is the worst taste. It's just the worst. Rantaro sits himself up and stares down at me. Don't, he prompts, before holding a hand up for me. I don't need to take it, but I take it anyway, and he gets me sitting in no time. Don't worry about it, I finish. I scrub my tongue with the side of my finger for a sec before I let it back in my mouth. At least they added these used tires. Used to be you scraped your knees and you just lived with it. You must have been very brave, Rantaro says. He picks himself up, dusting all the rubber off his pants before airing out his shirt. I guess I shouldn't have expected anything less from someone like you, huh? Rantaro's words give me the pep I need to hop right up onto my feet. You bet, I shout. It's all in a day's work for the luminary of the stars. Just as I move to pound my fists together, some used tire drops from my hair onto my hands. It's not the most awesome declaration I've had. We'll work on it. Rantaro reaches over and flicks the tire shred off of my hand, and a smile on his face, he says, thanks for bringing me here and telling me all your stories. I especially like the one about the sea serpent. He nods back towards the playset, where one of the toy dragon statues we climbed all over is sitting. He even remembered which one was Polaris. I'm kind of impressed. Of course, anyone would be happy to hear stories about my greatness. I paused after that, though, letting out a quick sigh and rubbing my upper lip with a finger. But, thanks for listening too, man. You're pretty good at that. Anyone ever tell you that? It's not the most luminary thing I've said, but I think I made it work. Once or twice, Rantaro says, climbing up onto the playset again to sit. This is how he keeps falling into the tires, man. You never know. If we ever both have the time, you should bring me this way again. Huh? I can't help be surprised by that one. I mean, there ain't a lot to see this way. Rantaro shakes his head. It's not really about the playground. I just think it adds something to your stories when you tell them. You start running around the place, playing all kinds of stunts. Makes me feel like I'm really there, you know? Pfft, you're just saying that, I scoff. Rantaro waves his hand in front of him. No, really, I mean it. I want to hear what happened to you with your rival. Who made it to the Lost City? I don't respond at first, glancing over at the setting sun. It's getting a little bit late, but not so late that I gotta leave the story untold, huh? I grin, hopping up on board the ship beside Rantaro and getting back to the story. So there we were, just him and me on the deck of his ship. There was no doubt this was going to be the duel for our lives. And there's one more piece of art. So this is them on the ship. It's very obviously a ship, can't you tell? Come on, focus. All right. What do you think? Wasn't that just the coolest story you've ever heard? So thank you once again to Jim Claude on AO3 and amamicorp on Tumblr. And can I get Noodle's information? I'll pop this in the description afterwards. Their Tumblr is Doodles by Noodle. Ooh. I said I was going to practice Kaito's voice before the stream, but it kind of does a number on my vocal cords. There's no water in here. This isn't gonna help my throat, but fruit gum, dude. Getting grape gummies thrown at me. I'm gonna get some water and then I'm gonna catch up on your comments. Slip slide, but not eat shit. So impressed. I didn't eat shit once at my last convention in these sandals. Yeah, because I put these
stupid straps on.
Alright. Gotta figure out, adventure straps was not something I thought I'd be hearing today. What do you mean? That's the most essential part of any pair of shoes. I should get adventure straps for my Galaxy Crocs, honestly. I do not wear those nearly enough. I like that everyone has decided that Rantaro is canonically super chill despite him only getting a few minutes of screen time. It's like, it's just the way he sounds, man.
He's chill.
He's chill. He looks chill, he sounds chill. Yeah, I mean, he's mysterious, but he's chill about it. He's not freaking weird about it. Unlike like a handful of Danganronpa characters, honestly. Korikyo. Grape gummy. You can't do this to me. If I ever need to explain Kaito running in slippers, I'm stealing adventure straps. Oh no!
No, he loses the slippers like a man. I think he just loses them.
No!
Has to go back and find them later because of how bad they stink.
No, he's extremely skilled in running with slippers. He wears them all the time. Obviously.
Like a chump.
Even when he's doing push-ups.
Like a chump.
It's not chump footwear.
It's chump footwear.
It's not chump footwear.
It is chump footwear.
Also, shout out to Just a Ship on a Ship. Momota shippers rise up. All three of us. What? It's true. Shout out to Jim Cloud for real. So, going back to a comment I saw earlier. I think I know what you were referring to. YouTube user Despair Bears, when you were saying that the zine is out. This is a different zine from the one we were talking about. This is one that I really wanted to be in, but they just didn't have the resources to add cosplayers because there's like 2 Kaito cosplayers, let's be real. But I was invited to be a part of the latest Momota zine, Canon Divergence. So I will be in that one, and you'd best believe once that is physically in my hands, I'll do a dramatic reading of one of the fics in there, because there's some really good writers in there, and I've heard there's so many writers that applied because Momota fandom be popping off consistently all of the time, and there's so many freaking writers, dude. There's so many freaking writers. So once that's out, you'd best believe there will be more Kaito content. Speaking of writers in the zine, I asked special permission from Tumblr user Arsons, who is the guest writer, if I could do a dramatic reading of particular physics. And for this one, I actually need a prop, if you would be so kind.
Hey, nah.
Hey, dude!
Hey, nah.
Come on, man. I asked... Please?
Nuh-uh.
Please?
Nuh-uh.
Come on, man. You're here for story time. I need it for the story.
Nuh-uh.
It's for the story.
You can do it without.
No.
Yeah,
It doesn't hit the same.
I don't care.
Do you want to read it? That's what I thought. You can't trip me. I've got my adventure straps on.
Whatever.
Yeah. So this one is actually not from Kaito's perspective. This one is from a certain other purple Danganronpa character's perspective, and I'm going to do my...
I'm even with you.
I don't like the sound of that.
Good.
What, you're going to steal my jacket or something?
Maybe.
Oh no, I'm quaking in my galaxy slippers.
Like stealing slippers.
You can't. I've got adventure straps on.
I don't care. I can still steal them.
Yeah, but it's going to be a whole process, and then I can kick you in the schnoz. So, this is the part where I kind of regret not figuring out how to set up a voice changer, because then we could really get the whole Exisol experience, but...
That wouldn't have to be a nightmare. You had enough trouble setting up a stream.
Yeah, and
And
next year it's going to be great. It's going to be so cool and awesome.
you're going to have to get Mew on board if you want the voice changer. Just saying.
I gotta find a friend who cosplays Mew. That'd be such a problem all the time. I'm gonna ditch the jacket. Really sell it, you know? This is just weird, actually. No. No, I'm putting it back on.
Hey!
No.
Hey!
What?
Hey!
No. Dude. No.
You stole my scarf. You stole it right off of me.
What are you gonna do? Cry?
Maybe.
Alright. It's getting a little warm in here anyway.
Stinks.
I just washed it!
And you wore it and you sweated all over it like an idiot.
I'm sorry that I actually do physical activity, like running and push-ups. I had to do some push-ups before the stream to get all hyped up. 500 of them, in fact.
I don't think so. You were laying on the couch watching TV.
Untrue. I don't even own a TV. Do you see a TV in here? I don't think so. Alright, now I gotta remember how to do this type of voice. What are you doing?
Go through your shit.
There's nothing in there.
No fun.
Try harder next time. Excuse me. Drank too much water.
You good there?
I'm mentally preparing.
Promise?
I was practicing my throwback. I was gonna lend it to you for like a Pokemon character. You remember that? Who's the guy with the purple jacket that's like just built like a brick shit house?
I don't remember.
Shit.
I honestly don't remember.
Obviously, it never happened, but
Yeah.
it's like some guy with a purple jacket
Some guy from Pokemon.
and like a like a side shave. I don't know.
I remember mentioning it, getting mentioned, but I don't remember who the guy was.
Me neither. I didn't know in the first
I don't
place.
watch enough Pokemon.
Duh, me neither. But like, as I was saying, years ago, I had actually talked to Brittany Karbowski, who's the voice actress for Black Star, and she does this thing called boy voice, and she was trying to explain to me how to do it because I was saying, man, I'm trying to figure out how you do Black Star's voice because I want to cosplay Black Star. And I did cosplay Black Star. So she gave me some tips and tricks and said I got to find her again in Black Star cosplay. And I got to show her how far I've come on my boy voice. And it has not come very far. But we're trying. This one's going to shred my vocal cords even more because I realized Kokichi kind of has a rasp to him that Kaito doesn't have because he's got more of a rumble. So get ready, plug your ears. Hold on. Let me try Black Star's voice first. Hey, Maka! I'm gonna be the best Meister there ever was! Yahoo!
Yeah, he would say that.
I'm Black Star Momota, luminary of the whatever. Is he like a ninja or something?
I think he's a ninja.
I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen.
Episodes of the show.
What?
I didn't actually watch the whole thing.
And you just rolled up as Maka one day?
I did.
Okay. Damn.
And it was garbage. It was so bad. Mako was so bad.
Redemption arc 2025.
Yeah.
Could be.
I could find someone to make me the coat.
Damn. Wish I knew someone who knew how to make coats.
Damn.
Okay, so I've got Black Star unlocked, but I'm not going to read this in Black Star voice. I could.
It's for the best. That you don't.
It's for the best.
It is.
God, this is going to shred my vocal cords. Because the one line I can do is, "This school is mine! I am the king!" But I can't do this whole thing in that voice.
No, you're gonna die.
I'm going to die.
You're just gonna flat out die.
Oh, I'm just, there's going to be no vocal straight. Vocal cords go brrr. Oh, hold on, I'm going back to the chat. Are you wearing color contacts? Yes, I am. They're purple.
Purple.
I'm tempted to say that Black Star and Kaito are the same character, but Black Star has so many, and you're gonna hate me for this, so many Vriska traits that, like, he's like if Kaito and Vriska combined into a character, which is like one of the worst combinations known to man, and I love him for that.
He's so bad.
God. Gotta get into Kokichi position. This is, if I can just...
It's left hand.
Left? Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's mirrored. Is it mirrored? No, it's not mirrored on the stream. God damn it. Now I'm just imagining Kaito doing all of this in the Exisol, just like have to mentally hype himself up.
There.
Also dying, which I'm not doing, but
We can fix that.
I don't think we will.
We could.
I'll pass.
We could.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
You sure? You sure? We can fix it.
Yeah. That was terrible.
Grab some water.
I've got a pitcher in the sink, I guess. Usually it's in the fridge. I lie, knowing it hasn't gone into the fridge in over 2 years.
Oh, you're allergic for moving.
I'm saying it like it is, though. That was the truth. So, yeah, you fill it up on the top and it'll filter, and then you can pour it out the side.
I've seen you do it.
God, what the hell. Hating Momota is easy. Hating Momota is easy because he's so super dumb as hell, Kokichi thinks. For one, what's wrong with my slippers? He wears slippers to school. No other well-adjusted human being does that unless they're on meth, and then that makes them not well-adjusted, so it goes and cancels out. For another reason, Kokichi once watched Momota yell, "Shuichi, check this one!" and slide about a foot down the staircase railing before flipping backwards and slamming his head off the floor. Dignity and all. He once asked Kokichi who the main character of Hamlet was. He also once used the word parsec. I can't even say that in a sentence, but he used the word parsec in a sentence as if Kokichi was supposed to know who the fuck that meant. Parsec and torque in an astronomical unit. Like, he wasn't just making those things up.
You were making them up.
I was not.
Use the word.
Those are all real words, by the way. It's just making them up. Next one. God, I'm so lost. It's like he got one completely random melting pot of genes or something. Like his DNA just slapped a bunch of miscellaneous shit together and called it a person. He's lucky it didn't become dangerous. Momota, thankfully, is more of a cheese on cereal type of combination than a lithium and water. That sounds terrible, dude. I gotta get through this without breaking character. I gotta get in the zone. You guys, I gotta get in the zone. Kokichi knows lithium in water is dangerous because Momota had said so once and then looked at him like he was stupid when he questioned the validity of that. Hating Momota is really easy. Hating Momota would have been even easier if his face didn't look like that when he studies. On the other side of the table, Momota is holding a book that says some shit about particle physics on the front. Right, okay, that's not inherently bad, but the issue is that he's actually reading it for some reason. Kokichi assumes it's studying, if only for not wanting to believe that anybody, let alone Momota, would spend their free time reading any sort of topic like that. Why read math books when cringe compilations are free, honestly? Though, it might explain some stuff about what went wrong in his head. Kokichi rolls his eyes. He settles his chin back against his palm to absorb the view. Momota keeps biting the corner of his lip, but besides that one small thing, the rest of his expression is fully focused and concentrating. As if, by chance, he's actually enthralled by the nature of particle physics. As if he gives a shit about particles, or physics, or both! Like, particle physics is the most interesting and entertaining thing in the whole world, instead of, wow, the boy sitting across from him watching him read. I can't stay in character for that one, dude. He's making the wrong choice. He's also making a really, face. He's really making a face, huh? How about that? He has a face. That's right. That's how Kokichi feels about it. You look really, really ugly when you care about space, Kokichi says anyway. Momota blinks up at him. Like, for real, your brow gets all creased, and I swear to God, Momota interrupts. I'll move to another fucking table. Again. Kokichi pouts. When he'd first arrived in the courtyard, Momota had been the only one present, sitting alone at a table in the corner. Kokichi had settled across from him, and Momota had looked up, collected his things, and moved to another table, that bastard. Kokichi followed him to two more before he finally gave up on his little escape attempt. Sure, you can take that route, Kokichi concedes. He shrugs. Too bad I took your bag when you weren't looking. Momota startles, and when he turns to find his bag right behind him where he left it, Kokichi zips in to pull his book from his hand. Yoink, he says. Momota snaps around instantly. I'll be taking... Hey! Momota sputters. Fucker. He lunges after him in an attempt to grab it. Give it back! The hell are you? And Kokichi gets his thumb on the page Momota had open and catches about 2 words explaining corks before Momota tears the book away from him, hitting Kokichi's elbow off the table in the process. Kokichi rubs at it and huffs. Could have said please. Could have not taken my fucking book, Momota retaliates. He looks a little bit red with anger and his hair is a little mussed up from their short scuffle. Kokichi swallows. Momota swings his book bag open slightly too aggressively. They both ignore the sound of pages tearing when he flicks through them to return to his previous spot. So, Kokichi says. Momota groans. Yeah. Agreed. You get it, dude. This Momota guy, he's pretty smart. What are quarks? Dude, you don't care! Kokichi gasps dramatically and throws a hand over his mouth. Well, of course I care. How dare you, Momota-chan? I love quarks and particles. Why would you ever imply that? Yeah, cut the shit, Momota says. He looks up at Kokichi, annoyed. I don't even know why the hell you're here, alright? You've been too quiet the whole damn time. Are you planning something? Kokichi frowns. I'm planning, he stresses, to get you to explain particle physics to me. Momota sighs. Oh, come on, Kokichi protests. You're really just gonna skip by the opportunity to preach space talk, huh? And they say teaching is the best way to practice and study in everything. And Momota finally relents. Kokichi watches it happen. He visibly exhales as if releasing the tension from his body. Alright, he says. Fine. Fuck. What do you want to know? Kokichi folds his hands under his chin. Which quirk do you think best fits my personality type? Momota starts. That's not a real fucking question. Fucking hell, dude. Hey, it's totally a real question. So come on, tell me about the quirks. And tell me which one you think I most act like while you're at it. Momota just presses a hand to his forehead. This is so fucking stupid. Oh my god. Oh my, quirks don't have personality types. They're not goddamn sentient. Kokichi blinks at him. Momota shakes his head. Alright, listen up. There's 6 types of quirks, okay? Up, down, strange, charm, top, and bottom. They all serve different purposes. Okay, cool, there's 6 of them. Kokichi interrupts with a clap of his hands. Now, which one am I most like? Momota kicks him on the... Ow! You missed a golden opportunity to kick me, by the way. Kokichi recoils his leg. Ow, he says, and then kicks him back. They spend too many seconds wrestling with each other before finally breaking apart. Momota glares at him. Strange, he decides. You're definitely the fucking strange quark. Kokichi rolls his eyes. Well, at least I'm glad you didn't take the easy way out and say, like, you know what. Apparently, this joke is lost on Momota, who manages to look genuinely confused at his words. Kokichi blinks back at Momota when he doesn't say anything. Harukawa-chan would have said it, Kokichi presses. You know, the B one. Momota only raises an eyebrow. Okay, so, more questions, Kokichi eventually continues, flat. His voice perks back up. Ooh, if I were a moon, what moon would I be? Oh, hell. What? Sometimes a boy wants to learn about certain astral alignments, you know. Momota kicks him again. Ow! Momota-chan, are you trying to break my bones? Or finally, Momota sets his book down on the table and shakes his head. This isn't even about physics, dude. You're just asking me to entertain you. Kokichi balks at the accusation. What makes you think that, he says. Like, Momota's completely correct, but Kokichi would be damned if he lets him know it. I'm just curious about space, really. I just wish Momota-chan would talk more about his profession. Momota looks at him for a second as if contemplating a response. And he says, Deimos. Huh? The moon, Deimos, Momota clarifies. You know, from Mars? That's what you remind me of. Kokichi raises an eyebrow. Any particular reason for that choice? Momota shrugs. It's, kind of wonky. He glances down at Kokichi. Plus, its name is Greek for dread. Kokichi frowns. A planet, he fires off. What planet do I remind you of? Pluto, Momota answers, because it's so small and cold and technically not even a fucking planet. Okay, well, I'll pretend not to be cheated by that one. Star? Betelgeuse, because it's gonna explode pretty soon. Kokichi's frown intensifies. Any celestial body in general? Momota thinks about that one for a moment. Then he supplies an open star cluster. Kokichi's amused. Oh, he grins, because I'm such a star that not even one single one will do for me? I need a whole bunch? No, Momota says, because everything that makes you you is so wound so fucking loosely together that it'll eventually all spiral away someday and fall apart. Kokichi's no longer amused. He's being called a mess by this cheese on cereal type of guy. He aims to kick at him again, but Momota manages to dodge that one from under the table. If I'm like an open one, Kokichi says, then you're totally a closed one. Maybe you're not falling apart, but you're still just an assortment of things mashed together. Momota scoffs. Sure, jackass. They're called globular, by the way. Oh, wow, huh? My bad, space nerd. And Momota tries to kick him. Kokichi dodges as well. Just as Momota starts to reopen his book, Kokichi glances to the side and lets out a harsh sigh. The courtyard is still empty, save for them, despite the nice weather. He looks back to Momota, ready to be angry, but he's making that face again. The study face. The one where he has features and bones and skin or whatever, like any other person, but different, maybe. Kokichi clears his throat. You know, he starts, Momota's grip tightens on the binding. You answered those questions pretty quickly, Momota-chan. Sounds like you had your answers already prepared or something. Momota rolls his eyes from behind his quark manual. Right, yeah, of fucking course he bites out. He squints at Kokichi. So what if I did? Kokichi leans forward on his elbow. Maybe you spent time wondering about me. And Momota snorts hard. No, you're right, he says in the same sarcastic tone, still tinging his voice. Maybe you can't stop thinking about me. Maybe I can't, Momota counters, now getting angry. And maybe, just maybe, you have a crush on me. And Momota leads with a loud, maybe I do, before his words catch and die in his throat. Momota looks like he's been slapped. Kokichi feels like he's been slapped. It's the expected payoff, really. It's the exact stupid trick he'd planned for Momota to fall into, but it doesn't stop Kokichi from flushing and breaking into hysterics just as Momota drops his head into his book with a groan. You, Momota grits out, are so fucking... I can't even do it.
No, that's a good word.
Maybe for the Japanese voice actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real evil. I watched it in English. I'm suffering. I'm fighting for my life, dude. Oh, Momota-chan, Kokichi giggles, full bodily, and then with a note of alarm, finds that it's hard to stop. Momota tilts his head down even further. You're really... You're funny. You have a... I knew! Kokichi's words break off into breathy laughing, and it devolves even further to near panting as he finally finishes the sentence with... It. I knew it! And Momota just stares at him over the top of his pages, concern now evident in his eyes. Weirdo. Kokichi beams back, still breathing hard, then rearranges himself again to lean forward on his elbows. I can't quite do it because my camera's too high. He hopes it's cute. It's definitely cute. He's probably sweating. Momota lowers his book just the slightest bit. His face looks warm too. Are you fucking okay? He asks. Kokichi snaps and fumbles out a finger gun at him. Never been better, he assures, and then he winks for some reason. God, what the hell? He has to stop doing this shit. Momota doesn't seem totally convinced by his little display, which is too damn bad, but he eventually shakes his head, blinks, and pulls the book back to close to his face. Kokichi quickly looks the other direction, just to be away from him. And for a couple minutes, they lapse back into their prior science. It's silence. It's not science anymore because they're not sharing it like my most beloved space facts. It's not uncomfortable, necessarily, but Kokichi can't refrain from subtly glancing over at Momota every few seconds, just to read his mood, because, well, they argued again, and he's still just... it's a certain way. Momota's gaze meets his when Kokichi peers over at him, and they both quickly avert their eyes. Kokichi starts coughing violently because he's sure it'll help clear the air. Momota shifts visibly on his bench. After a moment, he takes a deep breath. You know, Momota starts, sounding both vexed and self-conscious. Kokichi turns to him, probably appearing the same. I don't actually like you, dude. You're a complete fucking menace, no matter what you say. And he scratches his head. Or get me to say. Kokichi blinks at him, wide-eyed. Momota's face heats up again. Or whatever, he adds, angry. But it's not like I hate you or some shit either, but it's you know, it's just, look. God, just forget I fucking said anything, alright? I didn't mean... Kokichi feels his heart skip some beats, and then his lip twists into his cleft. It's like an awful smile. Momota stares pointedly at his book. It's okay, Momota-chan, Kokichi says. I've actually been thinking this whole time about how odd you look and how much I hate you, so it's totally okay if you... Ow! Momota kicks him under the table, and Kokichi kicks him back. It turns into another short altercation, but this time when Momota swings his leg to Kokichi's side, Kokichi catches his foot between his ankles and holds it there. Not getting away from me this time. Momota stares harder into his book, and Kokichi stares harder at him for a second. Looks like the corner of his own mouth is twisting up as well. A mirror of Kokichi's own resting expression. After 3 or 4 seconds, it becomes clear he's not going to pull away, and Kokichi's heart proceeds to skip even more beats at that. Betrayal. You're an asshole, Momota says, but there's no real heat in his words. In fact, he almost sounds amused. Maybe. Kokichi swings their feet, very, very slightly. He clears his throat to reply. You should tell me more about open star clusters. Momota finally looks up from his book and... Yeah, he is smiling, Kokichi realizes. His smile might not be on par with his study face, though it's hard to tell because Kokichi is sure Momota looks... Alright, fine, he looks attractive, that's what makes him different, okay, with most of his expressions. Whatever. Momota rests his free foot against the outside of Kokichi's ankle, and they quickly have a vague pattern woven together of purple, white, just underneath the table. Kokichi hardly even cares that Momota's contribution is from some stupid, dumbass slippers. Momota folds the cover of his book together and sets it between them. If you're actually curious, then I can seriously talk about them. And Kokichi nods his head. Oh yeah, he says. I'm super curious about what Momota-chan has to say about them, you know? Talk away. I'll totally listen to the content and not just your voice. And Momota grins at Kokichi, and Kokichi grins back. They swing their feet again, just the smallest bit. All right. Well, Momota shrugs. He seems to consider his word for a second. I think open star clusters are really, he stifles a laugh. Unique might be the right damn word. And that's the end of the fic. And I like that one in particular because it's got space facts. I love space facts. I gotta take this off. I cannot have it on me for another second. Take it back. I love space facts.
Over it.
Can I have my jacket back, please?
Nuh-uh.
All right.
You have to fight me.
No more jacket. We're going jacketless. I mean, knowing the next fic, we might need to go no jacket.
Well, yes and no.
Ooh, I'm seeing some bangers in the chat. Hold on.
What's chat say?
Hold on. I gotta get... Okay. First of all, Black Star as Kokichi would be so funny.
Yeah. You're right.
Now, this is the training I'm gonna do when I get into Kokichi Kaz, LMAO. You get it. Doing Black Star voice. Kaito voice. What's wrong in my slippers, man? Absolutely nothing. They have adventure straps. You get it! You get it! They're... Yeah, you want to take a good whiff?
Nuh-uh. I would die instantly.
Okay. So that's your weakness, huh?
Take one whiff and instantly die.
Mm-hmm. I'll save that one for later.
Everyone will know it was you.
Gasp. Damaging library books? How dare.
Yeah, I've never done that before.
Tag yourself. I'm an upquark.
What's up, Quark?
No! What's up, Quark? What's up, Quark? The plague of every Kaito writer. Shoot, I gotta actually learn some space facts an expert might reference.
Fuck.
Hey.
Fuck.
You know who knows space facts? You know who knows space facts?
The stupid ones.
I know good space facts too. I know a great space fact. Did you know that they discovered helium on the sun before they discovered it on Earth? By like 40 years. It was actually during a solar eclipse. That was totally a fake yawn, I know. But anyway. So, y'all know how we had the eclipse like this Monday.
Okay.
What they were doing is, I forget the name of the guy. Let me go on to the Wikipedia page for helium.
Oh, you knew space facts, Kaito. You should know this.
I know this, but I want to get the names right, and I meet so many people. I have so many sidekicks. It's hard to remember all of these names.
Excuses for this. Can't even remember people's names.
So helium was detected by astronomer Jules Janssen during a total solar eclipse in Guntur, India. And so what he was doing is he was taking a spectrograph of the chromosphere of the sun. So that basically is giving you some emission lines of like when you look at the spectrum, certain elements will emit more light in certain wavelengths. And helium in particular happens to have a really strong line in the yellow region. So, you said you didn't want that.
I don't.
So he saw this line, and it didn't match up any of the other spectral emission lines he knew, because at this point, let me double check the year again, it's the 1800s. 1868.
Boy.
They didn't really, they had started making gases into plasmas and taking spectrographs of them, but they hadn't done that for helium yet. So when they saw this yellow line, they didn't know what the heck it was. So they said, well, there's this other element on the sun, I guess, and didn't think much of it for the next approximately 40 years. Oh, 20 years, I lied. In 1881, Italian physicist Luigi Palmieri detected helium on Earth for the first time. And it was some material that had been sublimated during a recent eruption of Mount Vesuvius. So that is why it's called helium after the sun god Helios, is because it was discovered on the sun first. Okay. So, there we go, space fact. So if you need space facts, hit me up. I'm full of them. Hold on. There's so many good comments. One time Bees explained how a moon can exist. So true. Two of them. Don't lie, Kaito. He's your binary star. I think we talked about this during the last stream. Shout out to N-Body Problem for having just a banger of a fic name. Yeah, I think I sent that one to you. It's the one where it's from Shuichi's perspective.
Yes.
They're stuck in orbit with each other. Why is it so cursed to see Kaito with the dice scarf?
I have that effect on people.
I can't say anything more on that one. And the reply, nah, he's cute in it. Let the man live. Ah, yes, key flirting tactic. Cough violently. Why didn't that work for Kaito in the game, man? Ultimate confession tactic. Tell him you hate him. So true, so true. Space Factor, the GOAT. These guys get it. Wikipedia, the website you can trust. I got cooked in middle school for saying you can trust Wikipedia, but like the thing is...
They cite their sources.
Yeah, they cite their sources, and the mods are cutthroat. Like, you don't want to cite Wikipedia as a source, but it's great when you need, like, a quick fact, and then you can go and see where they're getting this information. Mm-hmm. You guys get it. I'm a little bit sad in a way that I've upgraded my Kaito wig, because back when I had my old wig that was like really dark purple, I was actually able to get away with like if I could cut off this part of my face and took off my goatee and put a neckerchief on there, I could get away with cosplaying Kokichi without the wig. And I did pull that once, and people were mad. I can't do that anymore, unfortunately, and now my Kokichi wig has been permanently borrowed, so it is what it is.
It needs work. That's what it does.
Whose fault is that?
Yours?
I gave it to you very nicely styled. Alright.
Keeps getting mussed up in cons.
That's crazy. Because you keep going to cons and then bugging me the whole time.
Yeah, there's nothing else to do.
Ooh, it sounds like a you problem. There's plenty of panels.
I think a you problem.
Sometimes there's even space panels.
Oh, lame.
I love space panels. I'm upset to this day that Convergence did not accept my how to design a space suit for a fiction panel. That would have kicked so much ass, you know?
At a sci-fi con, they wouldn't let you do space?
Apparently, they didn't have enough rocket science to put the panel on, so it would have just been me, and they're like, yeah, we don't want that. We want more panelists, so yeah. I'll have to bring it to a different con. Anime Fusion, here we come. I'm telling you guys how to design spacesuits. It's gonna be. I could make that into a YouTube video. I could use my YouTube for things other than live streaming fanfics. That's crazy. Can you imagine?
I'll just take a nap.
You can do that. I could give you a whiff of these slippers and just knock you right out.
Oh no, that wouldn't rock me. Yeah, that would kill me. I would die.
Permanent sleep.
Permanent sleep.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
And then you'd feel real bad about it.
Would I?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
You probably would because you're a chump.
You did kind of break into my house.
Sorry, not sorry. It happens.
I was going to use my space-themed water bottle, but then I forgot. My NASA sticker peeled off. It's so sad.
It's almost like your NASA doesn't want to be around you.
Untrue. I've got like 50 more NASA stickers. I just haven't put a new one on there yet. Yeah? And?
It's too many.
They just hand them to you when you go to the NASA World Headquarters. It's incredible. I mean, NASA headquarters is not really a world organization, but I did go to the NASA headquarters, and they were just like, hey, that's so cool. You want, like, a calendar and a bunch of stickers? And I said, of course I want a NASA calendar. What do you take me for? Lame. It was so freaking cool. So I still have it. Free NASA calendar. God. And then I don't think I've flipped my space calendar in a while. Right now it's on Yeah. And what of it? Actually, I don't think it's even on January. I think it's on the very first page that has all of the embroidered patches from all of the missions. That's so cool. I don't even need the calendar at that point. If you don't like space facts, leave.
No.
Per the chat.
Oh no, you can't get rid of me. It's not that easy.
Chapter 5, but Kokichi sniffed Kaito's slippers. Who was the murder culprit? It was Kaito's slippers. Imagine trying to come up with an execution for Kaito's slippers.
Hang on by the adventure straps.
They get a bath.
They get a fucking bath.
Which is a worse way to go, that or the press?
Speaking for experience, probably the slippers. you got a real special brain or weak, man.
I've been cultivating it. That's what we call musk.
No, it's stink. It's stinky.
No.
It smells like rotting animals. Especially the slippers.
Slippers are not rotten. Or not.
Might be your feet then.
I don't know, man. Alright. Shall we continue to the third fic? We are now in what is my favorite trope. I think I even mentioned this on my zine introduction. My favorite trope is when both Kaito and Kokichi are in the exisal. When there is only one exisal and they're both in there. Because I was so convinced that that's what actually was going on. Once I was unconvinced that Kaito was the mastermind because that's what I was running on since like chapter 1. I was like, sure. Yeah.
Don't even believe in your own blurbo.
He wasn't my blurbo yet. A little bit of bees lore. Kaito wasn't my blurbo until like 5 minutes before he died. Kichioma, cause of death. In all caps. Stank.
Rip.
Rips.
Weird stonk.
Weird stank. God, that reminded me. I was in a meeting with like 2 like really high level engineers that had been like doing engineering for decades. And I misspoke at some point. Instead of shrink tube, I said shrank tube. Because, like, my full embarrassment. I'm talking about rocket science. And, like, when you're, like, doing some wiring, you gotta put shrink tube on it. And I was talking about it in past tense. So instead of saying the wires were shrink tubed, I said the wires were shrank tubed. And then they insisted, when I was writing it down in my notes, check the shrink tube temperature rating. They corrected me and said, don't you mean shrank? And then the other one said, oh yeah, how many A's does that have? It says 3 A's. And they wouldn't let up until I wrote it in my notes visibly in the meeting.
Excellent.
So now I've got official notes that are probably like export restricted, like classified. And now you know they say shrank tube. Well, not yet, because I haven't built the part yet, but at some point it will be shrank tubed. This is a technical term now. But yeah, you get it. Kaito is no one's first favorite in V3. He's one of the characters that grows on you over time. Yeah.
Like a mole.
No. Maybe like a lichen.
Ugh.
I've taken a liking to him.
Oh, of course.
Anyway, the fic. The fic. This is approximately, I think it was like half. Hey! You said you didn't want that anymore because it's stinky.
I changed my mind when I looked up at your river.
Oh, okay.
And then
Alright. Whatever you say, man. It's not mine.
You're still gonna have to fight me back for the photo.
Man. Oh no, and then you'll have to deal with me up close and personal, but I'm stinky,
Yeah,
as you say.
I might die. I might die. If I die in your house, it's a bad luck for you.
Well, conveniently, you're alive in this fic, and you're stuck in the... God, can you imagine how bad that thing would have smelled? Stuck in the exisal.
God. For like hours and hours doing your whole mouth breathing thing.
Hours and hours while actively dying.
Gross.
Mm.
Fucking disgusting.
Add that one to Wikipedia. No, I don't think I will be adding shrank tubed to Wikipedia. I don't think so. That's classified information.
It's shrinked.
Shranks your danks. And shrankies your dankies.
Imagine getting shrinked.
Imagine getting shranked. Oh, for this one, I should change the color of the background. Yeah, I can do that.
With your phone?
Yeah, these are Bluetooth enabled, and I freaking forgot where it is. What color do you think? Red?
Red.
Red. They're both red.
Hurry.
Hold on. Red. Wait, no, that's the opposite. Red. It is now red. We're actively dying, fellas.
Should we not blood?
Not this time. No, I'm pretty sure it still boggles me to this day how he has the jacket when he pops out of the exisal, because I'm pretty sure that thing was elsewhere.
You took it back.
Yeah, just peeled it, like, it's like, oh man, the trial's almost here. Let me just gently pull it out of the hydraulic press and not worry about what else it's stained with.
He snuck back to his room and grabbed another one.
God, just imagine tramping through the courtyard in the Exisal.
Yeah.
Except he can't do that because then Monokuma would have known.
Well, not if he was being sneaky.
I don't think that's how it works.
It could be.
I don't know, man.
You were decent at sneaking.
That's not really,
Yeah, you're right. We can all smell your slippers coming from a mile away.
Deleting that comment. I'm not gonna entertain that one. That's funny, though. Wait, why didn't it delete? Get modded. I'm gonna be laughing about that one later, though. I gotta get a couple of good coughs in here. I sound really ragged.
You should get something for that.
What?
You should get that fixed.
What, not dying? Don't like the fact that you're holding a weapon over there.
Sorry.
You're not sorry.
You're right, I'm not.
You're not sorry.
I'm a little bit sorry. 0% sorry, would do it again.
Mm-hmm. Right, of course. The Exisal was dormant, motionless, utterly silent in the maintenance hangar. The skin of its armor was cold steel, betraying nothing, but without the ventilation running, the inside had begun to feel like an oven. It was not airtight. In theory, Kaito would not asphyxiate, no matter how long he was wedged into the thing, but all the same, he was sure it was suffocating him. He tried to doze for a while, one foot in consciousness, the other in the grave. He dreamt. In a way, but those half-dreams were restless and malformed, always rooted in the faint sound of some electrical unit's hum or the clanging pipes overhead. His mind took those sounds and twisted them into a scuttling, multi-legged things or monstrously jawed exisals like rabid animals that chased his friends up and down every hall in this whole damnable place. In his more coherent moments, he thought of the others. Once things went to shit, which they would, there was no doubt in his mind there. Fallout and consequences became a guessing game. He was confident that Maki-Roll, at least, would make it, no matter what happened or what that little weird bear and his weird little entourage threw at her. She, in turn, would ensure Shuichi's survival. It wouldn't be pretty, but they would both make it. Probably. But there was an awful lot riding on that probably, wasn't there? How much did he trust in Kokichi's little plan, again? 3 hours ago, give or take. If you had asked him that, he would have blown off the question as absurd. Trust him? How stupid do you think I am? He'd say, and he might tell you, too, that he had his own plan, and he'd have said it was a pretty good chance of getting him out of here. Being cooped up in a bathroom, even a clean one, was not how Kaito wanted to spend his last few days alive. He was convinced at the time that these were shaping up to be his last days. Kokichi was keeping him alive on a whim, nothing more, and it would be on a similar whim that he would change his mind and go for the throat. Kaito could hear him on the other side of the locked door sometimes, talking to himself or pacing up and down the length of the hangar, or giving in to fits of unbridled shrieking laughter.
Yeah, I do that.
Weirdo. He said nothing about it, not to anybody, and refused to admit it even to himself, but it was that laughter that had begun to scare him. Kaito was trying, of course, and that went double whenever he heard someone coming up the hall outside and he knew he had a visitor, but keeping his nerves together was becoming a stretch. Every time he heard Kokichi's footsteps, he imagined him opening the door and saying, "Time's up!" with a bright little smile every time one of those exisals came or went down the hall outside his tiny window. In his mind's eye, he saw it turn on him and take meticulous, precise aim. His own aim was dog shit, of course, but that was no deterrent. The crossbow was something that could be slipped in through the limited space of the window, assembled, and used in quarters where it wouldn't matter. As long as he could catch Kokichi off guard, he was adamant he could land a hit. Maybe even kill him outright. Not that he wanted it to turn out that way, but how much of a choice did he have? Sitting there on the tiles with the weapon half assembled in his lap, he was beginning to doubt if he could do it. Hit. Sure, no problem. The fucker deserved it, but could he kill? What if he incapacitated him? Hit him in the leg, maybe, just so he couldn't do any more damage. What if he put the bolt clean through Kokichi's skull? Could Kaito afford to hesitate? The laughter from the hangar stopped in an instant. It was as if Kokichi had shut himself off. One moment there were sounds of an uproarious giggling fit, then a sharp gasp of air as if someone had slapped him. And there was nothing. And the incredulous thought came upon Kaito that Kokichi had been listening into his thoughts. Then from just outside the door. Kaito? Kaito's eyes went between the closed door and the scattered of parts on the tile, wishing desperately that he was as efficient as Maki at putting the thing together. 15 seconds flat was her record, which Kaito had deemed impressive as hell at the time. But had Kokichi heard him? He had been careful to keep quiet, or at least he thought he had, but he heard a fair amount of what went on out there. It stood to reason that his own activities, although they generally didn't amount to much, would be within earshot as well. He mouthed, not daring to voice it. He didn't have time to sweep the parts back into the bag, much less stash them in the cabinet under the sink. The sharp, damning click of the outside door unlocking made him freeze red-handed. You know, I wanted to ask you something, Kokichi had started, but his gaze came to rest on the partially assembled weapon and his voice trailed away to nothing. For all he had sounded moments ago to be caught in rapturous glee, he showed no sign of it now. His cheeks had not reddened, no trace of smile remained in the corners of his mouth, much less the corner of his eyes. His voice was deceptively casual, almost sing-song, but without the stifled quality of trying to keep one's composure. But now, even with that practiced innocence, the voice carried a creeping threat underneath it that set Kaito's teeth on edge. Kaito? What is that? It was not a question, not really. Kokichi just wanted to see him squirm. But Kaito, ever the expert at steeling himself, refused. Every muscle in him was as tight as a bowstring. The silence between them drew him tight enough to snap. It was fight or flight, and he had nowhere left to run. So without a choice, Kaito lunged. One of the air units somewhere in the complex kicked off, and the vents which crawled along the ceiling shuddered down into an eerie silence, unmasking the occasional plink, plink from the still dripping press across the hangar. The thing loomed like a grinning beast in the shadows, its jaws defunct and painted with gaudy sprays of blood. And Kaito wanted to turn away. He wanted to not be sick at the sight of it, but with the armored windscreen of the Exisal, it didn't afford him any other view. He could shut his eyes all he wanted, but he could not tune out the smell and the sound when those two steel plates had come together. A merciless wet pop, like biting a grape in two. It still echoed in his ears. He took as deep of a breath as he could manage, and the nausea subsided again. But he knew it would be back. It would be an uphill battle for a while. Not for the first time. He wondered if he could hold out that long. Kokichi was banking on the fact that he could. His plan more or less revolved around it, in fact, but Maki's antidote was taking its time. Oh, you knew that. You agreed anyway, fool. And that was on top of how his lungs had started to rile themselves up again, and the fight, such as it was, didn't last long. With Kokichi caught off guard, he was on the defense from the get-go, and it was only a minute, two maybe, until Kaito had the front of his shirt in both of his hands and hoisted him off the ground. The little rat was screeching, "Unfair, you idiot, put me down!" and clawing at Kaito's wrist, but Kaito wasn't about to let him go now. But then he heard the Exisal clomping up the steel floors, and the hangar's door began to come up. He had known to make it a quick fight, and yet, with Kokichi still shrieking and kicking at him, Kaito had run out of time. Damn it! He hissed, knowing in an instant how all of this was about to go. The Exisal at Kokichi's command would shoot him, and it was going to hurt, and it would take hours for him to lie there and bleed out. Maybe less if Kokichi was feeling generous, but probably not. And over it all would be that horrible screaming laughter like a banshee. But the Exisal did not shoot him. It stood there in mechanical silence, as if giving Kaito a chance to come to terms with his own imminent death. It was only for a second, but as he felt time had ground to a halt, the cockpit opened, and everything seemed to happen at once. Kokichi succeeded in wresting himself from Kaito's grip at last, and Kaito registered that it was Maki who was piloting the Exisal, and she brought her own crossbow around in a split second to aim. Kokichi made an instinctive dive for cover, and the nearest thing being Kaito, never mind that they had been brawling moments before, but he wasn't fast enough. The explosive thwack from Maki's weapon drove the bolt into the flat of his shoulder blade. "Shit!" Kokichi cried, pitching forward and catching himself by the knee. Maki was out of the mech and on him with 2 great strides, swinging her foot against the side of his head like a sledgehammer and sending him careening sidelong. He tumbled blindly, caught the concrete flooring under his palms, half kicked, half skidded backwards on his ass. "Please don't," he stammered, ear now bleeding. Please don't kill me. Tell me everything," demanded the assassin, advancing, refusing to let Kokichi scuttle out of reach. His movements were frantic, but hers were deliberate and precise, and to Kaito it seemed as if Maki herself was gone, and the ultimate assassin had taken her place, acknowledging nothing around her except the fact that her prey was still breathing. "Tell me," she repeated, "the end of the killing game and the remnants of despair. All of it." "The what?" Kokichi exclaimed. "The what?" Kaito exclaimed. I don't know what you're talking about." "Liar!" the assassin barked, sharply enough to make even Kaito flinch, and the hand which wasn't holding her crossbow tightened into an impatient fist at her side. "Don't you play stupid with me." Kokichi had backed himself into the corner by the control platform's steps. Sensing it, he froze, a frightened little gasp escaping him. No, wait, I swear last chance, mastermind," the assassin growled, her crossbow aimed directly between his electrified eyes. "Start talking." "I don't know," Kokichi bawled. I'm not even the mastermind. Please, you can't." He must have really been grasping here. "Kaito, call her off!" True desperation or not, it was not enough to make the assassin pause, inches out of Kokichi's reach. "Kaito," her eyes turned, but she did not shift the aim of her weapon. "Did he hurt you?" "No, I didn't touch him, I swear." "Shut up," at Kokichi. Back at Kaito, somewhat more urgently. "Did he hurt you?" Under the assassin's glare. Jesus, is this really what it feels like? He thought. Kaito froze like a deer in headlights, instantly convinced that if he so much as moved, she'd cut him down. It was ludicrous. That was Maki, and she was his friend, wasn't she? But her face was like stone, and her eyes were cold and cruel, and as his mouth went dry, he understood why even Kokichi was reduced to a trembling, weeping heap on the floor. He hated to think it, but simply being in her presence, being seen, watched by her, filled him with an immeasurable, unshakable terror. "No," he said as soon as he could force himself to say anything at all. Then the spell of paralysis was broken. He swiped a wrist under his bloodied nose, one of a handful of blows that he and Kokichi had traded, but that blood didn't faze him. "No, not till just now. It's fine. I started it. I'm okay. I promise." Why are you lying to her? Do you really want her to let Kokichi go? Or is it because you want to see her become Maki again? Kaito thought to himself. At his assurance, the assassin eased. "You should go then. You won't want to see this." No, wait a second. I don't," Kokichi started, but the assassin was having none of it. She whirled on him, cutting him off with a look alone. "I'll find out what you know one way or another," she said lowly. "Once the poison starts to kick in, you'll even beg me to kill you. I've seen it all before." "Poison?" Kokichi squeaked. "No, tell me you're not. You can't be. You are serious." "Maki, what the hell did you do?" Oh, but Kaito didn't want to know. He hated seeing her like this. There was no warmth at all. She may as well have been a machine. He had known that she possessed the skills, but seeing them demonstrated, seeing exactly what she would do for his sake, brought the bitter taste of bile into the back of his throat. Don't kill him! Don't do it just because of me!" The assassin regarded him again with that icy stare, and he wished for all the world that she hadn't, because then he could have remained convinced. He could still pretend that she was human. She was supposed to be human, but looking into those eyes now, he saw nothing but the bloodlust of a beast. "Just because of you? Do you know how long I spent wondering if I was going to be too late? If I was just going to finally break in here and find your corpse, and now you're telling me that I should let him live? He doesn't deserve it." "Fine, maybe not," Kaito conceded, ignoring the tear-stained protests from Kokichi, and eased a little closer to her. "But I can't watch you get that kind of blood on your hands for my sake." "Then go," said the assassin, and this time it was a warning. But Kaito slowly shook his head. He was pushing his luck, and part of him knew it. Are you sure she won't cut you down too, if you get her in her way? But he couldn't help himself. I can't! Maki, please! He's not worth it. What has he done to you? Really? The assassin asked warily. She readjusted the grip on her weapon, shooting Kokichi a warning look to keep him from trying to slink away. Why do you want to save him? Kaito hesitated, a few feet shy of her. I don't give a shit what happens to him, and that was at least partially true, but I can't see you like this. I just can't. He was really pushing it, all right, but he could finally start to see her thaw. Come back to me, Maki. Please? The assassin was hesitating, her crossbow angling out of precise aim. If only a little, her stone-hard facade began to crack. She could become Maki again, Kaito knew. She had to, because he could not imagine getting free of this murderous place without her. I want to, she said. I will, but please don't say it. She took a deep breath, and with the determination had returned. It's already started. I have to finish this. No, don't! Maki brought up the crossbow again at the same instant that Kaito moved to intervene. The bolt was bit into him, shooting like a white-hot arc of pain of his arm. Jesus, dude. Fuck. Plunging his mind into a flare of static and disbelief. He had taken the hit. But if he hadn't, Kokichi would have been killed instantly. For a few terrible seconds, it was all he could do to grapple with the pain, but then the fireburst began to fade and the full weight of it slowly sunk in. Then Maki had him by the shoulders, crossbow empty and discarded by her feet, and she was yelling, Why? Damn you, why? What have you done? Do you want to die? And she was crying as hard as Kokichi, and the only thing that could go through Kaito's mind was, she's back. She's still her. Oh, thank God, she's still human. I'm sorry, he said hoarsely, knowing it wasn't enough. He wanted to justify it. He felt like he had to, or it would be negated somehow. But the truth of it was, he had acted almost on reflex. He simply could not bear to see her kill. Maki stepped back, her face all red and patchy, her eyes glistening. I think there's an antitoxin, she said, and between tight, gasping sobs, I'm sure there is. Just stay here. I'll be back, okay? Just a few minutes. I'll be right back. And then she turned tail and fled. Kaito wanted to trail her, taking a few steps before even realizing he was doing it, but she was gone. He and Kokichi were in the hangar alone. The exocell hummed idly, interrupted only by the haphazard sound of Kokichi trying to catch his breath. It didn't take him long. This is your fault, he spat, once he was able, smearing a sleeve under his eyes one at a time. Kaito whirled to face him and he doubled down. Yeah, you heard me. This whole fucking game's gonna start up again and it's because of you. Like hell it is. I saved your skin just now, Kaito exclaimed, but he had missed his chance. Maki had succeeded in getting Kokichi off his bearings, unquestionably off them, and that was a rare feat, but he was snatching them back again, and Kaito on his own could not hope to keep them away from him. Kokichi shook his head and laughed, hollowly, still half crying. Shut up! Shut up! You don't know what you're talking about, do you? You never do! You fucking idiot! Kaito nearly boiled over. Hey, knock it off already. Quit treating me like I'm stupid. Then for once in your life, will you quit acting like it? Cried Kokichi desperately, his voice ringing through the hangar and echoing back and forth off the steel walls. He shifted up to his knees, and one hand untucked itself from against his chest, making a grab for Kaito's sleeve. Kaito felt like it was shaking. I know you're not okay, but for fuck's sake, give me something to work with here! Kaito drew away in disgust, yanking the sleeve out of Kokichi's grasp and watching him stumble forward after it. I'd rather die than work with you. You're nothing but an insidious little rat. Yeah, maybe, but you don't get it, do you? Come on, Momota, listen to me. What do you think happens now if you die? If I die? Who becomes the Blackened then? And Kaito wanted to punch him, if just to shut him up. His hand, the good hand, was flexing into a fist seemingly on its own as if goading him. Go on. And hit him. Smash his head into a cracked, bloody pulp. See how much bullshit he could spew at you then. But He couldn't do it. No one's going to need 3 guesses to figure this one out, Kokichi went on, knowing he had Kaito's full attention now. He forced himself up to his feet, eyeing the control panel by the shutter door, but made no move for it yet. Would you rather die knowing she'd killed you, or let her get even with me and stick around to watch her execution? Kaito felt the knot in his chest twist. Don't say that, he pleaded. Is that how it's coming out now? Are you that desperate too, Kaito? God damn it. Just don't. That's not a fair choice. Kokichi scoffed. I don't give a shit if it's fair. It's your own fault anyways. You put us both here. But what if I can't talk her down or get her to fix this? Or I don't know, something. You think you can convince her to save me after she already decided to mercy kill me? Psh, maybe you are the stupid one after all. The second she sees me, she'll probably snap my neck. He didn't seem to like how that sounded. Kaito caught a flicker of uncertainty behind those eyes. Disguised, of course, he had a good grip on it, and it was gone just as soon as it had come. But it was there nonetheless. And for the first time, Kaito recognized exactly what it was he was hiding. Is he really so scared of her? Sure, she had surprised the hell out of him and sent him into a panic, but Maki could do that to anybody. And the number of times she had scared Shuichi without even meaning to was indication enough of that. But to think that Kokichi could be truly, deeply afraid of her, that he could be truly, deeply afraid of anything in the first place, didn't quite connect. Kaito wanted to dismiss it as a lie, but that didn't feel right either. Kokichi had made his way to the shutter console, and the hangar's door rattled closed, once again shutting out the rest of the complex. He had every one of his bearings back now, although they came through a veneer of pain. The lilting quality returned to his voice, and Kaito found that he was glad for it. The absence had unnerved him more than he would later admit. Well, I suppose you don't really care what she does to me. You've got your own bad choices to make, huh? She won't save you, Kaito said, feeling distant. It's already started. I have to finish this. God damn it, why couldn't you have stopped her? Why couldn't you have just stayed out of her way? She's going to die no matter what. And Kokichi said nothing, only regarded him in patient silence. The side where he'd been shot was held a little bit more carefully, his arm not wanting to stray from its place. But his breathing had come under control again. He was keeping a firm grasp on the pain. He cocked his head deliberately, as if expecting another answer. But they both knew that Kaito was defeated. He was out of options. Maki was out of options, whether she realized it yet or not. More than anything, more than his own death, she'd been staring in the face for a while now. It had terrified him to see her kill, and yet he was the one that ensured that she would. One way or another. He had done this to her, and Kokichi was right after all. And of course, Kokichi was only right when it counted. This time, it counted double. How do we stop it? Kaito asked, his own voice feeling like an echo. Oma, please, tell me how you have a plan. Tell me you can get us out of this. Get her out of this. I don't care, just lie to me. That's when Kokichi's smile finally showed itself. Of course I have a plan, he said, and Kaito had no choice but to believe him. I just have to know whose side you're on, that's all. So, you're going to work with me, and you're not going to try and back out. Is that a lie? No, said Kaito. He didn't have anything left with which to resist. He was thinking of Maki, wondering if he would be able to explain anything to her when she came back. He wanted to tell her not to worry, that he'd be all right, that she wouldn't be the one to kill him, and that's how it was going to go, wasn't it? Kokichi was going to do it instead, removing Maki from the equation, at least as far as official guilt was concerned. Unofficial, he didn't think she would ever be rid of it. He wasn't going to be either. At least he hadn't thought so at the time. Now nothing but his own thoughts to fill the exisal silence. He supposed that guilt was beginning to ease. The weight of murder pressing on him had been crushing, but he was braced against it now. Fortified an extra degree with every movement that he heard the light, shallow breathing alongside his own. He was no longer wholly convinced that murder would be the truth, but He wasn't exactly convinced it was going to be a lie, either. How long exactly was he going to be in here? He felt like he was roasting alive. His poor head was still swimming. Every joint in his body was aching and cramped now, demanding to be stretched out. The bad arm had dulled, no longer reacting to every irritation with fire, but it had settled into a grumpier, more consistent pain. His lungs were starting to feel slimy and raw again. It would only be a matter of time before he lost that battle. The weight of it on his lap felt like a stone, but he couldn't back out now. Even if the concrete out there was blissfully cold, even if he could reach over with his good hand and crack the windscreen open just enough to breathe. Soon, he wanted to say, but could not bring himself to make a sound. As soon as that shutter rolls up, we'll find out whether that plan of yours succeeds or fails. That moment, that's when it would all be worth it. Or wouldn't. And if not, if Kaito was forced to fall back on his last resort, would he get away with it? Kokichi had brayed laughter at him when he brought it up. Last resort, he snorted. Like a backup plan? But this one can't go wrong. What do you need a backup plan for? Just in case, Kaito had said defensively. And besides, Maki made it look cool as hell. Laughter turned on a dime to revulsion. Maki's a piece of shit. We're not doing this for her. Kaito scowled. Half of a mind to smack him. And maybe he would have if the bad arm wasn't still in Kokichi's hands. You're not, maybe. You're doing this just for you, same as everything else. But if this fails, she becomes the Blackened. You even said so. And I can't sit and watch that. Oh, blah, 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 Kokichi interrupted, accentuating each syllable by swaying on his seat. Don't you get started but I love her so much. She's nothing but a pain in the ass. This is all her fault, remember? How's that? You're the one that's the pain in the ass, Kaito snapped, leaning back and testing the arm out. Conclusion, not great. The fingers on that side were already going stiff, and he shifted the wrist even a few degrees. Everything up to the shoulder complained in a fiery, lashing temper. But it was better than leaving the bolt in it. It would have to do. He nodded at Kokichi anyway, and held out the good hand. And besides, didn't you say it was my fault? If you had to ask it, then it's already a lie, said Kokichi, plunking the half roll of bandages into Kaito's waiting palm. The two of them sat on the bare, marred concrete, empty bottle of antidote, and the pilfered first aid kit between them. It was proving to be pathetically insufficient. The painkillers, at least, were a bad joke, but it was that or nothing, and they were on thin ice as it was. Isn't that the point? Kaito asked. No, said Kokichi, declining to elaborate, and scooted around so that Kaito could at least get at his injury. Over his shoulder, sounding a little too chipper. You better be fast, okay? Hold still, said Kaito, setting a hand lightly on the side of Kokichi's arm and feeling him go rigid under his touch. Okay, go. The hand moved gingerly to the protruding end of the bolt. Kaito took a deep breath to steady himself and, knowing exactly what it felt like, forced himself not to hesitate and yanked it out with a gaudy spurt of blood. Whether Kokichi cried out or not, he didn't process, only the wet, wrenching sound of the projectile coming free. With the bolt in his hand, dripping, he felt as if he was going to be sick. Oh, Oma? Kokichi said nothing, made not a sound. Kaito thought for one terror-stricken moment that he'd somehow killed him. Oma, I'm sorry! Then impossibly, Kokichi laughed. Just once, but forcefully enough that it was unmistakable. All of your fussing just for that? You made it sound like it was going to hurt. And Kaito just stared in disbelief. Why are you still lying? What are you trying to prove? You're such a complainer, Momota. Or are you doing it because you don't know how to be honest anymore? For being such a tough guy, you're really not that tough of a guy. Just stop. Makes me wonder if you'll be able to. Will you quit it already? Kaito said in exasperation, his patience snapping like a thread. He grabbed Kokichi by the shoulder on the good side and pulled him around, forcing him to face Kaito directly. Can you just drop it? It was a mistake. Kokichi's voice had betrayed nothing, but his face looked like sickly porcelain, cut through with gleaming lines of tears. He was hurting plenty, no lie. Of course I can't, he said in his voice. His lie sounded almost amused. Why should I? Just for you? Kaito, taken aback, withdrew his hand. Why not? He said a little more gently. You already swore you'd tell me every detail of this whole weird scheme. You already said we'd make it through and you weren't lying then. You're getting what you want, right? I'm helping you and I can't back out. So why in the hell are you still lying to me? Why are you still trying to convince me that you're okay? Kokichi smiled, and it only took a moment for it to turn bastardous. Learned it from you, he said, and just like that his truth was under wraps again. Despite the pain, he was unnaturally good at it. But all it took was a glimpse to know that it was there, to identify it, and now that he had an idea of what it looked like, Kaito was starting to make out the shape of it underneath the veil. You want me to admit it so damned bad, said Kaito. Fine. Maybe I'm not okay, but you're not either, so quit pretending already. He hated how that tasted coming out of his own mouth, hated how easily Kokichi was playing reflection, hated how even a thing like agony could be twisted and utilized to make a point. It's kind of a funny thing, isn't it, said Kokichi, how you're only ever honest with your enemies. Do you ever wonder why that is? No, said Kaito, but that was a lie. He had thought about it plenty, lying on his back at 3 a.m. because that was the only way he could even breathe, and most nights he was trying to convince himself that he was going to tell the others. First thing tomorrow, right? Just like you said last time, right? Feeling his chest wind tighter and tighter until the only thing he couldn't take it anymore, and made a dash for the bathroom sink where at least he could wash all the blood off his face after. But it was just because he didn't want Shuichi and the others to worry. It wasn't a lie, merely an omission of the truth, and those were not the same. Maybe, he finally said, and sighed. Sometimes. Oh, said Kokichi, not seeming to like the answer much. Enemies it is, I guess. Hey, grab the other end of my jacket, will you? This arm's all stiff now. Yeah, I got it, said Kaito, easing the jacket off, hesitating when Kokichi winced. The shirt underneath was drenched and sticking to his skin. The wound, Kaito was pretty sure, was still weeping. Damn, she really got you, huh? Kokichi hissed through his teeth. Told you she was a piece of shit. And so are you. Kokichi offered him a one-sided shrug in concession, carefully enough that he wouldn't agitate the injured shoulder too much. And you're still stuck with me anyways. So what does that say about you? Only in retrospect did Kaito understand what that meant. He'd assumed it was just another prod, one of an infinite supply, it seemed. Just another assurance that he was sinking down to Kokichi's level after all. And perhaps he was. How could he not when the only option for both of them was to be in it together? But maybe, in some odd, backwards way, he did consider Kaito a friend. He didn't feel like one, not to Kaito, not in the same way that Shuichi did, or Maki, but there was some level of understanding between them that hadn't been there before. He couldn't explain it. He couldn't put it to logic like Shuichi could, and perhaps that was by design. Shuichi did his thinking with his brain, Kaito did his with his heart, and there wasn't always a clean way to translate between the two. Kokichi wielded both. He used emotion like a weapon, held logic like an ace up his sleeve, and when he lied, he didn't always want to be called out. And when he wanted to be called out, it wasn't always on a lie. Shuichi tried to dismiss it out of hand, but he didn't understand an ounce of it. But Kaito was starting to. He did not feel the weight shift on his lap. Both his legs had got ecstatic in needles, but rather heard it. In the near silence of the hangar, with nothing except the muted hum of the single auxiliary light in the corner, he couldn't miss it. He looked down at Kokichi, a muddle of white in the shadows, folded into the front half of the cockpit like a sardine. He was dozing, but not well. Kaito saw the way his knees drew a degree tighter against his chest, the clutching little spasms of his fingers, how his light, even breathing was slowly starting to work itself up. Bad dream? Kaito had trouble remembering it, or really imagining any other kind. He set a hand on a molten, sweat-dampened skin, making Kokichi jolt. Easy, he breathed, easy. Hey, are you doing okay? Kokichi stilled, his head resting lightly on Kaito's arm. The single bulb from the far end of the hangar cast everything as skewed off yellow light, throwing jutting angles against the walls and corners and making it all seem unreal. I thought something went wrong, Kokichi whispered at last. I thought this whole plan fell apart. How stupid is that? You mean the one you said couldn't possibly fail? Yeah, that one. Do you think something's wrong with me for thinking of it? Even if it was a dream? Kaito considered. No, I don't think so. Oh, blah, said Kokichi, wrinkling his nose with a tired little huff. Had he been asking for a lie? Kaito amended. Whatever's wrong with you goes way deeper than that. Insidious little rat just about sums it up, doesn't it? Insidious little rat, Kokichi echoed in amusement, as if it was a title of pride. That's a good one. And horrible bastard. Yeah. Then his face turned serious again, scrutinizing. But not boring? Was he asking this time for the truth? No. Not once, said Kaito, and for better or for worse, he meant it. Right answer again. Kokichi let out a long, slow breath of air, and Kaito felt his curled-up body slacken with relief. There was no point anymore in trying to disguise the pain. That, like everything in the past few hours, had been split down the middle. It was give and take and give and take and give, and somehow neither of them had managed to break even. Yet. They both sat there for a while, all cramped and bunched up and half delirious. Kaito was keeping a firm hold on his breathing, stifling it even though his chest wanted to catch every time he inhaled. It was manageable, really. For now. 15 or 20 minutes down the line. Being that generous, are you? Well, that was another matter entirely, but he could hold on to it. That, of course, was a lie he'd been telling himself for a while. Kokichi shifted over again, only a little to look up at him. Those eyes of his were huge and round and staring, but unfocused. It was as if he were staring through Kaito at some distant star. He wanted to disguise it, to lie even without words. He wanted to, Kaito knew, but there was no point in it anymore. So his hand crept up a little at the time, fighting the bad joint in his shoulder, and came to rest on Kaito's shirt, his thumb softly rubbing against his collarbone. He wouldn't look Kaito in the eye now, but it didn't matter. He didn't have to say a word, and for the first time in days, weeks, Kaito felt his lungs begin to settle on their own. He shut his eyes, taking a moment to just breathe, just to try and get those round, sad eyes out of his mind. He didn't want to see it. He knew that Kokichi didn't want him to see it. But I guess we're in it for real this time. Huh, he had said. And Kaito had given him his good hand and helped him clamber up into the exisal. Getting the cockpit to close had been an effort. They sat in there for a moment, both of them pushing hands and feet out of the way and trying to get enough space, and Kokichi paused, windscreen still cracked open. One last thing, he'd said, and Kaito groaned internally. One last thing. You gotta promise. Don't remember me like this, okay? No matter what happens. I won't, Kaito whispered, knowing exactly what Kokichi's bad dream had been about, and knowing how badly he wanted to lie to disguise it. But there was no meaningful lies between them. Not anymore. And that is the fic, everyone. Yay! Woo! Yay! Woo! Yeah, that one wasn't as fluffy as the other two, but we made it through. Yeah?
Not as fluffy with, like, crossbow bolts and blood and death.
They both live! Yay! Yippee! Woohoo! I love it when they both live. Okay. Man, that one was the longer one. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Uh-oh. Chat went apeshit.
Chat? Hey, chat!
Hey, chat.
We're going back to Kaito getting the jacket, and Kaito just pulled it off of Kokichi's corpse. Skull emoji, skull emoji.
Just be like, no, this is my jacket.
What boggles my mind about it is that we know in canon that the lining was sewn on. There's not two of them. He didn't buy them in bulk. So, we know that Kaito has just so much autism and has an entire closet full of hand-sewn jackets.
He made his grandma do it.
He made his grandma teach him, and there was a cute little bonding moment. Another fact, canon fact about Grandma Momota. They're sewing buddies. Lung disease time. Hey! You can't keep getting away with this. Hey! Dude, I'm trying to read the chat. If Pinocchio says my nose grows now, he is either lying or not. If he's lying, then he's making a false statement, which implies that the nose does not grow. Now, if he is not lying, then his statement is either true or false, which implies that either his nose does grow now or his nose does not grow now. That's like a tongue twister. Maki, no, don't do the moiter. Child murder isn't funny, but it is if you say it like this. Child moiter.
Yeah, it's funny.
Now that's a TikTok audio that I need to grab next time. They're both lying about not bleeding out. It's oddly effective. Oh shit, this is a medical breakthrough. All you have to do is say, no, I'm fine.
Just advance concealing yourself. Just be like, no, I think it's fine, actually.
What do you mean?
Just lie constantly.
Despair Bears, you've never even considered the two of them in the Exisal together? I thought that was the obvious choice.
Step number one.
That's the real solution that Kodaka was too cowardly to implement. They were both in the Exisal. It's canon.
I should build an Exisal. I should build it out of cardboard, have like a big thing.
Yeah, you could use that.
In front of it.
You could use that wood frame that's just been sitting there forever.
It's been sitting there in the fucking garage because Marky left it there like.
Instead of making a Kibo cosplay, you could just make an Exisal.
Oh my god. Get to put my inherited engineering skills to the test.
Ooh. That'd be cool. That'd be cool as hell.
Fuck.
You claim you never thought about them both being in the Exisal because there was a body in the press?
You guys never figured out how to circumvent body in the press?
Yeah. Let's go back to Danganronpa 1 when they just had a mortuary and that they were taking bodies out of to fake deaths.
What?
Yeah, spoilers for Trigger Happy Havoc.
I never watched the first
The fifth trial. Do you want me to spoil it for
I
you?
don't care.
Yeah, the fifth trial, the mastermind is like, I'm sick and tired of this freaking detective. I'm gonna frame, actually not even the detective. She was so gay for the detective, but she was like, I'm sick and tired of this basic bitch-ass little boy. And
This fucking guy.
he's
Ruining
the
my
most,
lesbian hour.
the most basic guy of all time, and she's just sick of him. So she frames him for murder, and the way she does this is she drags her sister's corpse out of the mortuary, dresses it up as a secret 16th student, and then blows it up to fuck.
Damn, I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Just blows it up to fuck.
Meat doesn't bleed like that. Well, see, in my mind, they just have a whole bunch of blood bags lying around somewhere. It's just like, it's medical.
In the first one.
I don't know.
Or
I don't
in
remember.
V3 because I told you this.
What?
I told you where I got the blood from.
I freaking forgot. Just like,
Did you
once
remember-
again,
did
the
you remember
only
it when
line
you read
I
this
remembered
time?
from this fic is the gouty splurt of blood.
I
And
said
then
that
I was like,
one
oh
time.
yeah, I have read this one before. The rest of
did.
it, gone from my mind.
That's incredible. You've read it for the third time, for the first time.
Yes! I've read it for the third time for the first time.
God. You gotta start remembering fics. You gotta start remembering things with the brain.
I don't know. They've got too many space facts up here. I don't know what to tell you.
Put a couple of space facts back so you can have room for fics.
No. I like them. They live up there rent free. All right.
Well, now you have the fic, so presumably if you forget it, you could just reread it and then go, oh yeah, I think I read that one.
Ah, Lavova just mentioned. Remember that one fic where it was like Kaito's arm? That was the one I was sending everyone during the last live stream.
Dismemberment fic.
Dismemberment fic.
I have a better excuse than dismemberment.
I love that one. That personal favorite of mine. At some point, I'm just gonna have to read that one. Except that one's from Kokichi's perspective. God damn it.
That means I'm gonna have to read that one.
Someone's gonna have to read that one.
Fuck. It's gonna have to be me.
And I'll just be in the background. Just like no fucking arm for his sleeve.
Oops.
Maybe that is. I think I probably sent it to you after that stream. All right, let's go back because there's more comments. I'm too busy thinking about that one arm fic. Size and slow face palm. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I never actually shipped Momota, but like I could start having it as one of my side ships because this is severely convincing. They're both dying hand in unloving hand. So if this is what it takes, congratulations. You get the spirit of it.
Congratulations, they both died in the exit zone.
They just...
One half of the bottle of antidote is not enough to save them.
Damn it.
It's like, okay, guess we'll both die.
Guess we'll both die.
It's like halfway through the trial, the exit zone just stops saying things.
Yeah, just
they're both just dead.
conk.
They're just fucking dead.
Hand in unlovable hand, and I hope you die. I hope we both die.
We both die.
Honestly, it's such a good, even as like, just putting them in a room and making them interact. Just freaking...
Walk them in the same room, get them comfortable together.
God. Nightmare scenario. My personal philosophy is if I want Kaito to have a good time, I'm shipping him with Rantaro.
Yeah.
Momota,
Yeah,
choice.
chill.
Good stuff. They're both so good for each other. If I want Kaito to have a bad time, I put him in a room with Kokichi. And fortunately for everyone, I love it when Kaito has a bad time.
Yeah, fortunately for me too, because I'm good at running Kaito having a bad time.
Kaito having a bad time. Huge win.
Such a bad time. I know for a fact I told you about that fic at least once. Because I also told you that it was spoilers for a Luker POV fic. The fifth trial where she's got Team DR in one ear and the actual trial happening in the other ear, she's got to deal with it. As like, the character writers are going apeshit, the technical people are going apeshit, everybody's trying to figure it out behind the scenes. So that Monokuma can have an answer. And like, the guy puppeting Monokuma is like, guys, I should have an answer, I gotta know how to play this. And like, the entirety of Team DR is just flipping their shit because like, this is such a niche problem that they have not considered in 53 entire seasons worth of the show. Like, and we were sitting there going, cool, I also have to deal with this, guys. I have to know.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Hand in unlovable hand. So you should... After you're done writing, Kaito has a bad time in the pit.
I could
that one is not readable. I don't
give you the next fic, or the next pit chapter.
Yep. Also, just shout out to AO3 writer Lavova saying, how cruel to give Kaito a bad time. I can't imagine. After writing one of the premiere fics of Kaito having a bad time continuously.
Oops, all bad time. Featuring Kaito.
Featuring Kaito.
He's like, I don't want to be here. That's too bad, everybody else wants to be here.
Shout out for real to Kaito writers who just write him having a terrible, terrible time.
I'm so good at writing him having a terrible, terrible
I'm
time.
waiting for you to make him have the next terrible, terrible time.
Would you like me to send you the next?
I've seen your other fics and it's like seems that he always has a terrible, terrible time.
You're right.
You too. You're also guilty of this.
Oops, not sorry. Not even a little bit sorry.
Anyway, it is almost 2 hours since the stream started, so we're gonna call it for now.
That's pretty good. I think that was better than the last one. The last one was like 3 hours.
God damn, I do be yapping. I love yapping.
How long the last one was?
I can look
long.
right here and now.
Freaking long.
Yeah, and
you talk too much, Kaito.
what can I say? Even crying children adore the ultimate astronaut.
God.
So, with that, happy International Day of Spaceflight. Happy Cosmonautics Day. Peace, favorite fic be like Kaito and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
That's
So
what I
true.
do.
Every time.
I
When
do.
Kaito is having a bad time, I'm having a good time.
Yep.
But, and once again, happy birthday to our favorite boy having a terrible, terrible time, Kaito Momota. So thank you. I've been shot. Get that out of here. Thank you everyone for showing up to this stream. Hope you had a good time. I'm gonna have this posted later, and maybe if I ever find free time, I can update the captions at the very least to make sure they are not misspelling Kaito's names egregiously, because that I still have to go through the last stream. Good God.
Do it.
With what time?
All of it.
I gotta deal with shrank tubing. And I get paid for it too.
God. Imagine getting paid for shrike tubes.
God, I don't know, man. Anyway, have a nice rest of your night. Enjoy the weekend. Go stargazing for me. There's some beautiful stars out there.
No, there's not. It's cloudy.
Liar. It is not cloudy.
Could be cloudy.
I'm gonna pick up my telescope and tuck you under one arm. We're gonna go stargazing. It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna suck.
It's gonna be so great,
I'm gonna
so
bite
cool. Just you wait.